Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Eniekolu. Now let's go behind the headlines and get to the heart of the news with our commentator who will give us his personal take on the issues of the day. And today we have Arise News analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper, Mahmud Jega. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's start with Kenneth Okonkwo, very cutting in his criticism of the move by Bola Tinubu, although some would say, oddly, the Labour Party also campaigned on removing the subsidy.
That was the problem he had. He's an extremely articulate fellow, which is not surprising. He's a lawyer, an actor, and everything. But the problem was that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party was very much in front in the campaign to end fuel subsidy. And as the SDP presidential candidate said, the three biggest parties in the country, which together garnered 90% of the vote, all of them promised to end the subsidy regime. And personally, I agree with them. It's so wasteful to spend trillions and trillions out of the federal budget just to fund fuel subsidy, and that is why the federal government is in such deep borrowing.
Yeah.
But of course, arguments can be made as to whether the way the president did it was probably the best. Of course, arguments have been made that, you know, the toughest decisions for a new administration, better make them in your honeymoon period.
Yeah.
If you wait for some time, it might become impossible to really do them. The only thing is also, as Mr. Okonkwo said, when you are making a decision of grave import like that, it was very important to anticipate what the reaction of other sectors of the economy, in this particular case, the marketers. Because ideally, they shouldn't have, the fuel shouldn't have disappeared based on the statement, because there is a provision for subsidy up to the end of June. And 1 month would have been enough for the new administration to roll out whatever palliative measures it was thinking about. But Nigeria being what it is, as soon as that statement was made, the fuel virtually disappeared, and then the queues are everywhere. Everybody wants to buy fuel at the low price before the regulation. Exactly. So then you have all this chaos. But of course, it could be argued, like they have made, that the government should have anticipated that and planned maybe a different...
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, some people have suggested that it doesn't really matter when you decide you're going to make the announcement. People are going to react that way.
It's true.
The minute you say that you're taking out, okay, we're now going to take out the subsidy at the end of June, they're still going to start getting all panicked.
It has always been
in anticipation.
It has always been like that. I remember during the Babangida regime in 1985, he did a budget speech at 9 p.m. And said he was going to increase. That time was not even to remove the subsidy, but just to do some slight increase in oil price by midnight. Within 3 hours, if you saw the queues at the petrol stations, everybody wanted to buy within that 3 hour period. So it has always been. So I agree with you that no matter how cleverly you do it, you may not escape from the chaos.
So it's probably, to some extent, a good idea just to say, right, we've said it. Because I mean, the Labour Party, Kenneth Okonkwo was saying, well, go back and apologize to people, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's not a good idea to roll back and just say, now that it's done, let's just see it through.
Obviously, that's how it has to be done, because to make a major statement like that at the inaugural and to come back and roll it back and apologize.
Well, I mean, you can clarify it, which they've tried to do. But you don't roll it back.
If you roll it back, the government will lose credibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in any case, it has to be done one way or another.
But what's your sense about why he chose to do it the way he did and on that first day in office?
Exactly. I wouldn't know all the discussion that took place. As I said, as an incoming president, you get advice that, look, use the honeymoon period
Right.
to make the toughest decisions. Probably it doesn't have to be on the first day, it could be in the first week. But he decided that, look, this is the most contentious socio-economic issue, and I should better handle it from day one. Now, it has turned out to be very difficult given the reaction of the marketers and the motorists, but we will find a way.
But beyond that, I mean, I was talking to Mr. Adebayo there of the SDP about what many people see as the very confident speech that he delivered. Did he sound like he's prepared for the job to you? And you know, have you seen signs subsequently, although it's early days yet, to support that?
Well, certainly many areas the speech showed that he had reflected seriously on some of the issues, and also that he was not exactly leading. You know, a lot of the speech was maybe not completely off the cuff, but he was speaking, you know, directly.
Yeah, but he did have an auto cue there, though.
Well,
you could see it. I mean, because we know these things. You could see one of it was the one directly in front of him was covered with a cloth.
Yeah.
But you can see it right there in the picture. You can see he covered the back of it, but there's another one on the other side. There's another one up. That's the way those things are.
That was why, personally, I mean, you are the TV people.
So you can see the blue cloth. That's an auto cue.
Because he was looking sometimes directly, sometimes on the side. So I thought, well, if it is an auto cue, it will probably be in one place. Well, that's all right.
I mean, the one we use in the studio is different from the one that you use for events like this.
That is
but
true.
let me ask you this. What's the best way for Nigerians to react in these early days of his presidency, including his political opponents, such as Labour, SDP, and so on? Should everyone give him their support so that everyone benefits if he succeeds? If so, should that take the form of playing the role of a constructive opposition for you and your party? Or like Kenneth Okonkwo of the Labour Party said, we're in court and we're not going to do that until we know what emerges from the court.
The court process can go on, but meanwhile, like you reminded him, we have a government on the ground.
I mean, he could be there for the next 6 months at least.
We have a government on the ground. There is no history of courts removing presidents in Nigeria, but that's all right. Let the courts do their work. But meanwhile, there is a government on the ground. It has unrolled this very serious socio-economic policy. And the best way, in my own opinion, is that Labour and the citizens and the CSOs and the opposition parties should all now, the right thing to do is to provide the best ideas as to the way to go forward. And since all the major parties advocated the end to subsidy, all the economists and the business community and the Bretton institutions, everybody advocated an end to subsidy, but of course with the caveat that the amount that is saved should be channeled into palliatives and infrastructure.
And transparently so.
And transparently so. So I think the best way now is to address our minds to that. And if, like the SDP candidate said, 90% of the voters voted for the three parties that clearly said that the subsidy should end, and it has now ended, then the best thing to do is to now put heads together and say, okay, now that the subsidy is gone, we must do this, we must do that, so as to reduce the suffering of the people, because I saw the new template saying that petrol will go from 195 to 537.
I mean, that's an alarming increase.
That's an alarming, 250%.
I mean, that is a staggering increase.
250%. Really, you have to do some very quick palliatives in order to reduce the suffering. Yeah, because it will wipe out incomes and salaries.
Absolutely. And on that rather depressing note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Mahmud Jega is a Rise News analyst and former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Trust newspaper. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.